Democratic primary, right?
All right, that's an easier answer to that question than I feel like we got in 2016. Senator Bernie Sanders, thank you very much.
Nice little pot shot there at the end.
Yeah, Bernie, you've been slippery all these years. Yeah, you're a slippery guy for sure. Could you have had, listen chronologically. First you have the immediate question, the immediate attack. How would you paraphrase that? Let's the first attack that she had was?
Would you drop out if it was apparent that you weren't going to get the nomination?
Exactly.
But you notice he said...
She didn't stop there.
But you notice he asked her later on, are you asking this question of the other candidates? And you should have seen the look on her face.
Yeah.
Like, she was not expecting that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Bernie came back and hit her with that. But yeah, first question, are you going to drop out? Really?
Then she applies that he didn't give any straight answers last year.
Mm-hmm.
Her closing...
Yeah.
In other words, folks, you have an attack, a blatant attack, straight against Bernie's juggler. And that's what the mainstream media is trained to do.
And something Bernie says here. He says, some people said that if the system weren't rigged against me, that he would have beat Trump. You know who said that? This guy right here talking to you and the guy sitting across from me said this. Poll after poll after poll after poll repeatedly has said head-to-head Bernie kicks Trump's ass every single time. We told you so. Do I need to say it again? We told you so in 2016. We're telling you so a year ahead of 2020. You better listen to us. We had it right the first time. We're going to get it right the second time.
And they
Sorry.
honestly believe they can prop up this empty old neoliberal corporate empty bag called Biden, and he's going to save the party from Bernie.
Yeah.
You can't write a more disgusting script.
You would have loved the response that I gave to Casey Hunt on Twitter, because two pieces of her personal background. Number one, she's married to an NBC producer. Number two, she's very visibly pregnant, so she's going on maternity leave soon. So I posted on her Twitter account, when you go on maternity leave, please do us a favor and stay on it. Don't come back. You're nothing but a corporate-owned shill.
Yeah.
That's a bottom line. It really is, folks. I'll tell you what.
Biden is a corporate hack. He's a fraud. Plain and simple. While he gave confidences to Wall Street, he's not going to upset any apple carts on Wall Street all week long. Bernie came out last night, if anybody remembers, said, here are the 3 richest Americans. Mm-hmm. How many other candidates took a shot? Everybody talks about the 1%. Bernie listed them for you. Said these people have more money than the rest of the 50% of Americans in the United States. Mm-hmm. Bernie went on stage in front of America and said, here's your problem. And Biden brought his violin out about the middle class like he always does. The one that gets me is he was lunchbox Biden, man. He was for the middle class guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's too close to lunch.
Yeah.
Should we go to Benton Harbor?
Well, no. We've got 2.
That's right. Double barrel.
We've got another one. Well, I want to wrap up. Casey Hunt really does need to find something else to do for a living, not get on television and spew her complete bullshit. Sorry, that's the way it is, folks. Well, we've got the second one. This is a previous winner of Hammer Time. Larry Inman is our second winner. Who's Larry Inman? Michigan State Representative who's under federal indictment for extortion, bribery, and lying to the FBI because he's being accused of soliciting the Michigan Regional Carpenters Council for a bribe for a no vote back in 2018 on the repeal of the prevailing wage legislation in Michigan. Well, he's got an excuse now as to why he has his problems. Again, this is Steve Nieveling at Metro Times. The Grand Traverse Democratic Party is calling for the resignation of State Representative Larry Inman after he admitted he was addicted to opioids. The Traverse City Republican is facing federal charges for alleged extortion, bribery, and making false claims to the FBI. House Speaker Lee Chatfield, Republican of Levering, asked Inman to resign in May after federal authorities accused him of attempting to sell his vote. Inman refused, saying he's innocent. Grand Traverse Democratic Party Chairman Chris Cracchiolo said, quote, "The voters of Northwest Michigan have no effective representation in Lansing right now, and the only responsible thing for House Speaker Lee Chatfield to do if he is serious about accountability in government is to begin the process of removing Larry Inman. With serious criminal charges against him and an opioid addiction, Larry Inman's mind and energy are focused on other things, not on doing the work of the people of the 104th House District. Northwest Michigan families should not be paying the salary and perks of a legislator who, by his own admission, isn't up to the job." End of quote. Inman appears to be using his opioid addiction as a defense in the federal case. In a motion filed earlier this month, Inman's attorney, Chris Cook, said he plans to, quote, "present expert testimony and related evidence of diminished cognitive ability bearing on the issues of whether or not he had the requisite mental state required for the charged offenses." End of quote. By the way, the Detroit News was the first to report on this. Federal authorities accused Inman of soliciting donations, again, from the Michigan Regional Carpenters Council in exchange for a potential no vote on repealing the state's prevailing wage for construction workers. What a lovely guy there.
And the excuse is the opioids.
Of course. They don't want to take personal responsibility.
You see Chico down here slapping his thighs, he laughs. That's almost as funny as the one that when a Republican gets caught in a sex scandal where they announce they're going to go to sexual addiction counseling. Mm-hmm. Sexual addiction counseling. So you get caught asking for bribes to the Carpenters Union and you blame it on opioid use.
Of course.
Only
in Michigan.
I wonder if Biden could use that sexual addiction excuse.
I wonder where Larry's getting his drugs from. Maybe Rush? One of our listeners actually said that. Oh God, we love our listeners. We got some really good ones here.
A politician can wrap their turds and make them look like Tootsie Rolls, but they don't stop smelling. This guy, this guy up by Williamsburg near Traverse City, has been fooling the people for decades. He gets caught, and it's now the fault of opioids.
Wasn't he in the banking industry before he started his political career? I believe
a lot of these turds derive from that direction, from the banking industry, and probably no surprise at all.
Yeah. So for Casey Hunt and for Larry Inman, congratulations. We have this message for you.
Don't be a douchebag.
That's right. You better listen. Don't be douchebags. I mean, two totally different scenarios, but it's still the same award. So just enjoy it. All right. I know, Jack, you wanted to get into Benton Harbor and talk about what's happening there. There's an update to a story we told you about. The governor in the state of Michigan wanting to shut down Benton Harbor High School. Well, that's being put off for now, but we still have our reservations, and I'll let you explain why in just a minute. I have this story. This is by Ron French at Bridge Magazine. State officials and the Benton Harbor School Board reached a tentative agreement to keep the city's lone academically struggling high school open, state officials said Wednesday. The district must see its students improve academically while also paying down $18 million in debt under broad outlines of an agreement announced following a late afternoon meeting in Lansing between school board members and officials of the office of Governor Gretchen Whitmer and the state's treasurer's office. Details of the agreement weren't released, but Tiffany Brown, spokesperson for Governor Whitmer, confirmed the agreement would keep the high school open in exchange for Benton Harbor schools agreeing to academic improvement goals and making progress on its debt. I want to stop right there.
I just want to go very slowly. I sat for 10 years and watched the Republicans down in Lansing put these dictates on schools that were suffering academically or financially, and they were closed. All of this frosting on top of this very sensitive issue, if you melt it away, the Republicans and Whitmer's following in their footsteps would make these conditions, and guess what? They were planned to fail. There's no way they met the requirements. And so they called it on probation. These districts were on probation. And in a sense, that's exactly what Whitmer has done here. First of all, Whitmer did the same thing as Snyder would have done in the first place, and that was go down and close the school. Mm-hmm. Snyder's special emergency manager is a guy that went and stole a park down there to get choice land on Lake Michigan for his buddy Upton. This is the kind of stuff that Snyder would do. And I think there's enough Democratic pushback on Whitmer where she last week decided, I can't be responsible for closing this school. I've had so many parents crying on my shoulder. And so I'm going to pull out the Republican playbook, and I'm going to put down requirements. I'm going to put down dictates. They're going to have to pay down the $18 million. They don't tell you how much it's got to be paid down. But if they couldn't pay it in the first place because of the cut in funding, which Michigan is lowest in the nation, how the blanket are they going to do it in the next 10 months? Because that's when you're going to hear requirements not met.
Yeah.
And Whitmer's hands are tied. She's going to have to close the school, send the black population, those kids, and I think it was like 15 other schools surrounding Benton Harbor, taking a proud heart of that city, cutting it right out, but she couldn't do it now. She kicked the can down the road, but she's got a trap waiting 12 months from now.
Of course, and you mentioned the stealing of the park by the emergency manager for the city of Benton Harbor. Let's just go a step further, and we've mentioned this on this show before. Don't take our word for it, folks. Go to Google and look up Benton Harbor High School and pull up a map of where Benton Harbor High School is located. It's right next to the St. Joe River. It's not very far from it. It's not very far from the Lake Michigan shoreline. What do you think is going to happen if the state closes Benton Harbor High School?
Well, they're going to make low-income housing, I'm sure, aren't you, Darren? That's what they're going to do. They make low-income parks for the poor.
No,
they're going to make very expensive condos, exactly.
That is one of the last pieces of property that has not been developed by the rich. Let's just lay it out for you, folks. That's all this is a land grab. They don't give a damn about those students down there. They couldn't care less about these kids. They really couldn't.
Hey,
it's been proved for 30 years.
We talked about it on the show last week. This is what they did 5 years ago when they stole this beautiful park on Lake Michigan that was given to the people of Benton Harbor for eternity.
Again, let me remind everybody, I lived in St. Joseph. I worked in Benton Township, the poorest area of the state of Michigan. I know what I'm talking about.
I had relatives as teachers at Benton Harbor. I took athletes out of Benton Harbor. They played sports with me. I knew the families in Benton Harbor. All this is a corporate land grab that Governor Gretchen Whitmer is facilitating. The key word is tentative. Tentative. School officials in Benton Harbor School Board reached a tentative agreement. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be tentative, Darren. Listen, folks. It should be, it's a public school, and we will keep it open. We will keep it open. Yep. If it needs more money, we will keep it open. If it needs counselors down there, if it needs whatever it needs, it's a public school, we will keep it open. You don't make it iffy. You don't put the word tentative on it. You don't get your incoming freshmen this fall and say, listen, kids, you need to work your fannies off. Because if you don't get your GPA up, we're going to lose this school, and you're going to end up in Berrien Springs, or you're going to end up in Galeen High School, or River Valley High School, or Coloma High School, or St. Joe, where they hate your very shadow. So you get that book out tonight, you better realize the stake and future of the school is on your backs, because we got a tentative agreement. Tentative my butt.
Yep. According to the governor's office, state officials have identified national experts with experience turning around school districts who will be brought in to help. I'll believe that when I see it. In May, Whitmer and the Treasury Department released a plan to close Benton Harbor High School, with the students dispersed to 10 nearby traditional and charter high schools. Benton Harbor would be converted to a K-8 district. If the board didn't agree to close the high school, Whitmer said in May that she would ask the legislature to dissolve the district completely. The district has been one of the lowest academically performing districts in the state for years. No junior in the past 5 years was considered college-ready by scores on standardized tests. 6 years after graduation, just 6% of the class of 2011-2012 had earned an associate's degree or higher, which is 1/6 the